Hello, my name is Sarah Jahangri, and welcome to this session focused on elementary math lessons that are aligned to standards and to be utilized during intervention groups with your students. I am the Director of Statewide and Strategic Partnerships with Discovery Education, and this is my email. I want you to know that even though we're spending this short time together today, that you can always reach out to me via email at sjahangri@discoveryed.com. And at the end of our session, I will be sharing a couple of opportunities to attend office hours to answer questions. We are so thrilled to partner with you to bring you some engaging resources to support your students during recoupment days. We are going to spend some time together reviewing how to access Discovery Education. We're going to experience some Discovery Education math lessons that were custom and created for you to utilize during these sessions with your students. I'm also going to share with you how to copy and share these math lessons. Because they are custom, they are not found or searchable within your Discovery Education platform. So I'm going to show you how to access those and then how to add them actually to your login, and then how you can share those links with your students so they have access to these lessons as well. We're also going to explore a program called Archidemics, which are little mini interactives for your students to help them master some of the standards that they're working on in mathematics. And then again, we'll review those office hours and additional supports that you will have available to you to support the implementation of these resources. So let's dive in. The first thing I really want to make sure is that you know how to access Discovery Education as well as your students. Because that these lessons are going to be used in small group settings, they really are intended to be projected, and the content is intended to be worked through with your students and doing it in a small group format. But you always have access to Discovery Education and thousands of resources at your fingertips to support all grade levels, all subject areas. And you can go to lausd.discoveryeducation.com and enter your LAUSD email and password. I do recommend this before selecting the links on the document with the custom lessons. Before selecting those links, this will help you log in and be ready to access that content. Now, on a daily basis, you can get in this way to access the materials within Discovery Education. And I like to give a little tip here to you as an educator. Whenever you're going to be projecting, so even when you're doing these small groups, if you're going to be using them on any kind of whiteboard or from a projector or even on a computer and be displaying the lessons, you want to go through this pathway so that you get the tools to expand your videos and that your resources show full screen. For your students, they are also able to access Discovery Education, and there's a few different ways that they can do that. The first way is that they can go into their Schoology account, and up at the top, there's a waffle there. And in the dropdown, they will find Discovery Education, and that will log them in. This avoids them having to enter any type of password or username. They can always access Discovery Education from home to continue their learning as well through this pathway. So we always like to share that. And that even though you will not be assigning these lessons directly to your students through a Schoology group, that you in your regular classes can always add the Discovery Education app to your courses, or your teachers at your site can do this as well. They can go, you are able to go to your Schoology homepage, select the waffle, select the App Center. You're going to go ahead in the publisher's name, add Discovery there and click submit. You'll choose the first choice that you have for Discovery Education, which is Discovery Education Experience. There are 3 choices. This is the one you want to select to have access to the full amount of content within Discovery Education. Go ahead and install that LTI app, agree, and then add to any of the courses that you would like or Schoology groups that you would like. And then it'll appear on the left-hand side. Now, if your students that you are supporting in the sessions in their class, they'll also see it in their teachers' courses it there as well. They'll see the Discovery Education icon, they'll select it and we'll log them in that way as well. Now I understand for this session, these after school intervention groups, there's not necessarily a Schoology course, so you will not need to do that for these, but I want always to give you all of the information about the 3 ways to access Discovery Ed. If you have any questions about that, let me know. But again, going to lausd.discoveryeducation.com and entering your email and password will be a great way to access the content that we're discussing today. So let's go ahead and dive into some math lessons. I'm going to go over a little bit about what we've created here. Now you have 20 custom lessons to choose from per grade level. And there's 5 areas of focus in each of those 20 lessons. So there's 4 lessons focused on a certain topic. So that'll make more sense when I show you the document here in a few minutes, but they are all aligned to math standards within that grade level. And your students are not going to need a ton of materials to accomplish the tasks within these lessons. Of course, having paper, pencil, crayons, markers, the things that we find when we're working with students in our classroom is what you'll need, not any really big tools or resources to utilize these resources that we've created. They are meant to be engaging lessons and really get your students talking and understanding, really processing those conceptual areas of mathematics and to use their voice as much as possible. So you'll see that that's why these lessons are not meant to be assigned to your students. They really are for them to work through with small group, with their peers, with you, and have that interaction. That's how they're developed and meant to be used. So again, be projecting them and serving as a guide to the activities, and you leading the way is really the intention of these resources. Now, the slides can be shared to encourage further inquiry, and you can do that with a link, and I'll show you how to grab that link here in just a few minutes. So what we've done is we have created an Excel document, and this is going to be found on a resource guide that I've created for you. And I will also share the bit.ly link and a QR code here at the end so that you can access that resource guide. And you'll see all of your math lessons are going to be found on this document. When you come to this document, you're going to see the math standards for the 4 lessons for that particular topic area. You'll see the learning intentions within those 4 lessons. And then you're going to find a link to each individual lesson that cover that topic that are aligned to that standard. So you'll see here right now, I'm on grade 1. So first thing that you want to do is make sure to select the grade that you are supporting. So you'll see kindergarten all the way through grade 8 here at the bottom. This was intentional. If you need to go back a grade or 2 to fill in some learning that your students might need to build some background on to accomplish the tasks with that are at grade level, we wanted you to have access to all of the lessons so that you are able to select from any of the grade levels, and that way you're meeting the needs of your students and where they are. So right now I'm in grade 1. You can see the first 4 lessons are going to be focusing on solving problems with addition and subtraction to 20 using a variety of strategies. You'll see what the accomplishments the students will make in each of those lessons or are approaching to make as they're going through each of those. And then you're going to see the link to the actual lesson here. I'm going to go ahead and select grade 1, week 1, day 1, or the 1 of 4. It's going to go ahead and open up the Studio board. So all of these lessons are created in Studio. This is a creation tool within the Discovery Education platform. You are able to create lessons as well, but we create ready-to-use lessons in the platform because there's some really great accessibility tools here for you and your students. It's a great way to bring all of the content into one place, and then easy to project and not have to plan a bunch of bring it all together. We want it to be as ready to use for you as possible. So as you'll notice here, this is the first page. There's 9 slides. So just like PowerPoint, there's multiple slides here, and you just progress from the next button here on the right-hand side. The learning targets will be towards the front of the slide. Sometimes it's on slide 2, sometimes slide 3, just depending on the grade level. And it will again review so that you can review those learning targets with your students. So you can see on day 1 of this particular 4-day series, they're able to understand math symbols, and they will be asked to determine if an equation is asking them to add or subtract. And then they'll be able to write some equations at the end. Progress to the next slide. And one thing that you're going to notice is that within these lessons, sometimes there's going to be something that we call spotlight on strategies. These are ways for our students to record what they're learning, to interact with what they're learning, again, encouraging those discussions with your students. So the one for first grade here is called PMI, and this little magnifying glass will pop that out. It's very similar to a KWL chart. So in P, it would be, what do your students already know about mathematical symbols like the plus sign or the addition sign, subtraction sign? Are there anything that they want to learn more about in the minus? What are some things that they want to explore that they don't know already? And then things that they're finding interesting through the 4 days of the lessons, you can note here under I. Okay, so that is there as, and you can create this on a big chart or on a large piece of paper for your students, and you can do that as a group together and fill it out together. Now you'll notice here, there's actually a studio board within the studio lesson to open up the activity. It's called Math Words and Symbols. It's going to help your students if they have covered this already, definitely to bring up prior knowledge, to refresh that prior knowledge, or fill in any of those, in any of the information that they might be missing to progress through the lesson. So you go ahead and click here at the bottom, and it will open up that second studio board. And the second studio board is only focused on that Math Words and Symbols. I'll be able to toggle between the two here at the top. There's a short video on Immersive Reader here. So in case your students want to watch this at home, they'll be able to just go ahead and grab that and watch that a little bit about. I'll go into Immersive Reader here in a little bit, but you can see right away, we're going to bring in all different types of media. So songs, videos, interactives, different things to help your students learn that information. We know that students, if they have multiple ways to access the content, it will help them in their learning. So they're going to learn about the words add, plus, and is as they hear the song, and then you'll talk about the content and can they figure out the pattern. Then there's a little learning target in this one, and it will walk through plus and minus, those symbols and what they mean. There are videos, there are lessons, there are practice questions, all built into this little mini lesson. So as they're reviewing plus and minus, again, those are words and content that they've learned in kindergarten. So we are refreshing that knowledge, et cetera. And then once they go through that lesson, you can fill out your PMI chart. And then it will go on to check for understanding. So they're going to go through 4 different scenarios here with you. Again, this is guided conversation where you can read this to your students or have a student read it, just depending on what grade level you're in. Of course, we're in first grade. So this content can also be pulled out in Immersive Reader, which is right here to the side. That is going to bring out that text so that it will read to the student if they need, or you can have it read to your students as you're going through the lesson.
Addition or subtraction. 1. Olivia picked 3 flowers and Amon picked 6. How many flowers do you have in total?
So you could pause it there and then have your students talk about that. What were the key words about the decision that they made, if it was addition or subtraction, key vocabulary, etc., and walk them through these different examples. And then it will go over some of those keywords and the numbers here that they hear on the next slide to walk that through. And then they're going to actually have their turn to write a number story or an equation of their choosing. So this is where they apply what they've learned in those 2 mini lessons, and then they'll be able to reflect on the lesson at the end. Again, these are meant for a small group, shorter session, in an intervention time. So you'll see that they're appropriate length for meeting the needs. But if you do have extra times, we always want to provide opportunities to extend their learning. So in this particular lesson, there's a read aloud. It's a number or math read aloud. We always want to make those connections back to literacy. So they'll learn about the very cold, freezing, no number day, and then they'll be able to write an equation after they watch this video. Book is really fun and nice, extend your thinking. So even though this lesson, maybe you do the first half of the lesson one day and you can do the second half the next day if you need that time. So there's some autonomy in there for you to break those up if you need to, if you want to do the full extent and even put in some practice questions on your own. And we wanted to include some brain breaks at the end here and there, just to give your students some movement time if you're transitioning to ELA or a different topic, or to end your session with something really fun and engaging with your students. So we did include that. We always want to work in some wellness, and we've done that in these lessons as well. So that's the entire amount of content for that day one. And again, how you plan to utilize that is going to be based on the needs of your students and putting in those adjustments where you need. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk about with Immersive Reader really quick, in addition to having that text to speech that you have there are some other accessibility tools here. The student, if they were to go in, or you can increase text, decrease text size, you can increase spacing or decrease it. You can change the font and the background colors if that's helpful. And you can do parts of speech. You can also do syllabication if you are working on decoding still and want them to work on that. And then underneath the book icon here at the top, there is a line focus here. So if that's something students need to minimize the amount of text on the page, they have that. You can turn on the picture dictionary. So if I wanted to click on a word and it has a picture dictionary content there, it will pop up and you can see it will read just that word. Or also for students who might need some language support, if they're an English learner, you have 70 languages to choose from. This is a great tool for you if you need that support as well as you're leading the session. So you can come in and choose from all of these different languages that you see here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Arabic. And then if Microsoft has the audio file, it will actually, when you can do just the one word and hear it in English. Cold. And then in the native language. Or you can translate the entire document and it'll play that. And then it can toggle between English and that native language. So I just wanted to point out those other accessibility tools that are within each of the lessons that you have available. So this was a first grade example. I thought it would be really great to show you a fourth grade example. So this I would, again, if I'm leading a fourth grade group, or I'm maybe in a fifth grade group and I need to go down to fourth grade standards to, again, review some content with my students, I can. I just click on fourth grade. You've got your 20 lessons here, 4 lessons per topic aligned to this math standard. So you'll see here, they're working on place value, reading and writing numbers, rounding numbers in these particular 4 lessons. And I'm going to go ahead and go to lesson 2. Here we go. And in day 2 of this particular standard, I'm going to go ahead and progress. I'm going to see that the learning target is I'm going to be able to find equivalent fractions and to compare fractions. But I wanted to show you that the lessons are set up exactly the same way. There's sometimes an engagement piece to bring them into the topic. So in this particular one, in the last one we saw first grade, they went into another lesson where they practiced and on naming those math symbols. And this one, they're actually going to come up with a fraction based on the number of students in your group who can curl their tongues. So we know that this is a gift some of us have and some of us don't, just depending on our traits. So with your students, you'd write a fraction to show the number of students who can curl their tongue. So how many out of total amount of students can do this? So you do that together just to engage the kids in the lesson. And then it's going to go into defining what a fraction is. There is a really great video here that will walk students through that. It will go over key vocabulary like numerator and denominator, part, whole, all of those things, and set. And then at the end of it, you can see that they have a task here. So they're going to make 2 drawings that represent both parts of a whole and a set, and then write a sentence that explains each drawing. We want our students to be articulating their learning, processing, having those conversations. So you'll see those sentences there, or those statements to get the students talking to one another or talking with you about what they're learning in that particular video or interactive that they're working through. And then we have here in this particular series, we have some tutorials that will walk them through. Watch the video and discuss your answer to the question. And this is getting them into, it's going to explain what an equivalent fraction is. So we've gone to building and reviewing vocabulary, key vocabulary, what is a fraction, and all the key vocabulary in defining a fraction. Now we're going to get into the actual standard for this grade, which is equivalent fraction. So they'll learn about that through the tutorial, and then they have a practice question here. So this is another place where if you want to expand this and have them do a few different questions, you can, if you feel like they're ready to do that, to work on that fluency. And then they're going to work on learning about comparing and ordering fractions. And then they're actually going to use these images to determine what number of the ants here are red and represent that with a fraction. I do want to point out, like when we use pictures, we really want to encourage our students to be very careful in their visual assessments. So you'll see here that, and I missed this when I first saw, I'm like, the answer isn't there. But in picture 2, there are 2 ants there and they're carrying little leaves. So encouraging our students to be observing and really get them to be good detectives when they're using visual clues to determine answers around things. So we'll work some of that in there to have those conversations. But you can see there's 2 practice with fractions with like denominators. And then they're going to also apply what they learned about traits and inheritance, and they're going to pull this into, that the cats that they share the same traits, are they equivalent fractions? No, they're not similar. So, again, we like to bring in those cross-curricular connections. So they'll be able to work on this problem. But what's there for you on the next page is the answer. So how did you do? And then you can go over that. They'll notice that 2/5 of the cats are black and 2/5 of the cats are that calico. And then we have 1/5 that is that cute orange color. And so to have that conversation. And then they'll sum up their thinking, extend their thinking. There's always an extension activity, just like there was the read aloud in the last one. This one will go into extending. If you feel like your students are ready for that, you can do that with them. And then again, there's a brain break at the end. So you see if it's grade 1 or grade 4, they all appear and go in the follow the same model, go through the same type of content. So, or same kind of structure with different content, I should say. All right, so now that you know that you have all of these lessons, again, they are here and they are on your document. They're not going to go anywhere, so you can always come here, and that's a great way to access. Now, if you want to share these with your students directly, unfortunately, they are not going to be in Discovery Education because they're custom built for LAUSD and for this particular group. And so what we want to make sure that you do is have the links, but you can share the links with your students. And when they click on it, if they're logged into Discovery Education, it will give them access to the content. But because they are not assigned to the students, they are not going to be able to digitally answer the questions. We develop these to be done on paper and pencil, again, in that small group connection, not being in front of a computer and trying to answer the questions on their own. So just note, even though you share this so that they have access to the read alouds, they have access to the videos, they're not going to be able to answer those questions digitally. So I want to make sure that that's really clear, but you can share the link and they can have access to the content. The other thing that I shared with you earlier is that you can actually copy these boards into your personal login. And I'm going to walk you through how to do that and then where you'll find them. So if you want to have all of these lessons for the future, I know many of you support multiple grade levels. And so having these for regular instruction during the week is great. So the way that you can add them to your login is the following. You just go ahead and click on the link. Again, if you haven't logged in, it's going to prompt you to log in with your LAUSD email and password. It's going to open up your lesson. And what you want to do is you want to copy the lesson. So when I click copy, it's going to ask me again, are you sure you want to copy and continue? Yes, I do. And then once it opens up and you see this draft here at the top and copy of, it is now yours and in your login. So you can make edits to these always. There's all kinds of editing tools on the left-hand side. We're not going to get into those details, but I want you to know that you have that. You can add slides. You can reorder your slides. There's all kinds of things that you can do in here. But if you are just going to use them as they are intended, all you have to do to get rid of that draft is click share and share again. Now it's your lesson in your login. And where are you going to find them? You're going to find you can make copies of all of the lessons, and they're all going to live in your studio tab on your homepage. So when you log into Discovery Education, this is what you see on your homepage after you answer a few questions, if it's your first time logging in. And you'll see your navigation bar, and up at the top, there is Studio right there. And when you make a copy of any lesson, it's going to go into that studio tile, and you'll click on that and you'll see all of the copies of lessons that you've put in there. That way you don't have to worry of keeping track of your resource guide forever. It's there in your studio until you remove it. So to help you with that, and just remembering that I've put that in slides here. I'm going to come back to academics. On your resource guide, you'll be able to come in here, but I want you to know that there is a job aid, how to copy a studio board, a job aid there that I've put there so that you have that. I'll come back to this slide in a few minutes. So that is the nutshell around these lessons that you have. I encourage you to explore the lessons, go in, see how they're formatted. You definitely want to read through them before delivering them, watch the videos, know where you can expand or where you have to add some additional scaffolds to support your students, like sentence frames or some manipulatives that might help them in the topic. But you definitely have a good base here to really work on these standards in an engaging and fun way. Now, the second thing that I wanted to share with you is the academics interactives or investigations. These are also can be incorporated into your day or your intervention groups. They're a great way for your students to practice a lot of the topics that they're covering. And we have these for K-5 math, 6-8 math. You also have ELA investigations within this channel. So I put the link to these games on your resource guide, but I want to show you when you're in Discovery Education, it's very easy to find them. You just come in, type in academics. That is the name of the collection. And a channel is basically just a collection of a publisher or a topic. So academics, you'll see the two little race cars here. You go ahead and open that up. And you'll see all the games here, or the investigations on different topics. So what's great about these and why students love them so much is they're either going to race against themselves or race against their peer. You could also do this whole group and make decisions on the answers that the students want to choose. So in Koala Carts, the students are going to come in and they're going to, this one's number counting. So that's what they're working on. So all the student has to do is click play, or you from the front of the room. They do not have to play with a peer. They can just play against the computer. They go ahead and play now. And they're going to be the blue koala bear there. And they go ahead and click start. It's going to start in 3, 2, 1. So you can do this as together. Okay, so they're going on their adventure here. And so you have 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so question 2, how many is here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're how many dots are represented? So they're guessing that. 4 here, 3 here. So they're racing against their peers and they're guessing the right number. So they're using their counting skills. So obviously this is a primary game for our early learners, but it's a really fun way. So the kids you could be leading your group and they could be making these decisions together. And every time maybe trying to increase their score, you use the same one over a couple of days. But it's a great way for your students to start with that number recognition. Also, using different strategies that we see with Common Core. And once they're done, they'll see where they came in, which place. So it came in 2nd place. That's all. But the best thing is there was 100% accuracy. And if not, let's try to beat that and get that 100% accuracy in the next game. So these can be really fun, a great way to either open your group time or close your group time together. Again, this is called Archidemics, and it is on your resource guide. So your resource guide looks exactly like this. It's going to have some information here where you can log in. This second link is going to be access to all of the math lessons on your document that you can go in and copy, or you can just go there and pull the links and use them that way. There's a direct link to the Archidemics collection. There is a job aid on how to copy a studio board so that you can put it into your studio tile, how to use Discovery Education with Schoology, and then there's always additional videos and step-by-step guides. There's a link to that where you can, if you want to learn more about Discovery, there is some resources there. I've put the bit.ly here at the top, and that will take you to this resource guide, or you can scan this with your phone too, to bookmark it and email it to yourself. Either way will work, and we'll get you to this resource guide. Again, I really want to just stress on, I'm going to go to that resource guide really quickly. When you come here, you want, the most important thing on here is the second link, Discovery Education Math Lessons. When you click on that, it's going to take you to the document with all of the custom lessons there for you. So those will be all ready to go. All right. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you really quickly is that I did put the steps on how to copy a board so that you have that here as well. So I just want, if you want to take a quick screenshot of that, that might be helpful. But again, you have the job aid, but it's 1, 2, 3, copy, copy and continue, share, share. And you do that, and then your lesson again will be found on Discovery in your studio tile when you make those copies from your document. There are educator supports. So in Discovery Education, in your navigation bar right there at the top, again, there's those job aids. You can go to educator supports. There is getting started here at the top, and that's where you're going to find like how to find Save and Play Media, how do you assign and share, all of these different resources here that are there to help you learn. Feel free to contact me. And I just want to say thank you for leading these groups. Thank you for supporting your students every single day and for being an amazing educator. It's an honor and a pleasure to help and support you. And I look forward to connecting with you and hopefully seeing you at an office hour coming up. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.